Okay, in this video, we're just going to look at how you convert from radians to degrees. So again, it's just it's a good way when you're first starting to learn about radians. How do you kind of think about these in terms of degrees? So let's say I'm giving a radian measure. Let's go with 1 radian. So 1 radian. How many degrees is that? If you remember earlier, we did an example earlier where we tried to draw um, the case where A was equal to R. That's probably not right there. It was similar to that, where we said we want this arc length A to be equal to the radius. And we said that was 1 radian, right? Because theta was equal to A over R. But if A equals R, then that would be R over R equals 1. And we said that was 1 radian. So I want to know how many degrees that is. So the way I'm going to do that, if you remember we had that equation before, 180 degrees equals 2 pi, or pi radians. Pi radians. So the way we're going to figure out how much 1 radian is we just use this equation here. So 180 degrees equals pi radians. So on the right side of this equation, I have pi radians. So if I want 1 radian, what do I have to do to this equation? Well, I just divide by pi. So I would divide both sides of this by pi. So that would be 1 radian is equal to 180 degrees divided by pi, which is the answer. Now 180 degrees divided by pi, you might actually want a number here, which if you were to do that, that's approximately 57 degrees, or 57.2 degrees, approximately. It rounds. So is about 1 radian. If you remember in the example when we actually drew this, we said it was about 60 degrees, which is usually when I have people kind of trying to draw that, they usually estimate about 60 degrees, or sometimes a little less. And it turns out the exact value is, well, not the exact, but pretty close value is 57.2. It's actually 57.2957. So it's a non-repeating decimal. Um, so about 60 degrees is 1 radian, a little bit less, but the exact value is 180 over pi, and this is the equation which we're actually going to remember. It's useful to remember that 180 over pi is equal to 1 radian, which just comes from this equation here. So sometimes you just remember this equation to get to this equation, but that will allow us to convert other radian measures. So let's say, and this might seem a little bit unusual at first, but a lot of times when we're doing radian measures, we're going to have them as multiples of pi. So pi by 4 radians. How many degrees is pi by 4 radians? And the way you get that is just looking at this. So if I had this equation here, 180 degrees over pi equals 1 radian. Well, if I want to figure out what pi by 4 radians is, I just need to multiply this number 1 by pi by 4. So I just multiply both sides of this equation by pi by 4. So 1 times pi by 4 is obviously pi by 4. So pi by 4 radians is equal to, and then I just need to simplify this, so the pi's will divide out, and I have 180 divided by 4, which is 45 degrees. So pi by 4 radians is equal to 45 degrees. You're going to see that's a useful radian sort of value to remember. 45, half of a right angle is going to be a common thing that we're going to be working with. So, and you could do this for any radian measure, right? So in order, if you give me a radian measure, all I need to do is take this equation, 180 over pi equals 1, and multiply both sides of the equation by whatever this number is. So that's how you convert from a radian measure to a degree measure.